Hey everyone! So I have been talking about the my top 10 films of the year because you can't talk about your whatever and not talk about the top 10 films of the year. I will mention my runner-ups, probably between number 2 and number 1, but my number 5 film is Blow the Man Down. It is a film on Amazon that is not particularly popular or well known. It is a regional noir. It has the narrative characteristics of a noir, where it's exploring kind of dark and shady elements of society, and the people exploring those elements are not particularly self-examining of the underside in their own souls. And what I love about this film, so many things. I love the sense of place. I mean, films with a really strong sense of place. It's set in a coastal town in Maine. And there's subtext there of, an economically depressed town, but also I love that, both the protagonists or antagonists are elderly women. Margot Martindale's on one side, June Squibb, Annette O'Toole, and I believe Marcel Huguet is the third one, is on the other side of the equation, and Margot Martindale plays this brothel owner. It's a rare character you see in this day and age, in film. And it's really, and then it's contrasted by these two daughters who inherit a fortune and then come upon some more money. These two granddaughters of one of the characters. So there's a character there that is present in the narrative but invisible on screen. She's just referred to, and she's very important. And it's a lot of really interesting elements all happening at once. So, yeah, I just absolutely recommend it. My number 4 film was The Father. I can review this film in 3 words. It's kind of or maybe 4 words. Darren Aronofsky meets old age. It's just that's pretty much the premise, and it's the performance is absolutely incredible. Stephen Colbert said it's his favorite performance ever. He's not a film critic. He's a talk show host and a comedian, but hey, I'll take that endorsement. It's pretty solid. He won an Oscar for it just recently. Anthony Hopkins did, and Olivia Colman was really good, and they do a lot of really interesting camera tricks as well as tricks in terms of double casting actors for parts. And what makes the film work is that it's not confusing enough to just be a complete, clobbering of plot mess. It's got something going there. My number 3 film is Bad Education. It's an HBO film. It ordinarily wouldn't be eligible, but it is this year because it's a special year with the pandemic, and it stars Hugh Jackman as a kind of a really good or a really skeezy guy. It's hard to tell, and that's part of the fun of the film. It's a film about how good people with good intentions and good methodologies can turn to forms of evil that are kind of innocuous, but they're harmful to other people. In this case, it's embezzling money, and that's it. It explains it really well, I would say, and that's what films explain? Sort of. It does a really good job of dramatizing that sort of slippery slope downfall. The film itself, there's irony to it. It pulls the wool over your eyes, so the reader knows far less than someone who is following the story in real life, because it is a real-life story. My number 2 film is Trial of the Chicago 7, and let me preface this by saying that I have never been an Aaron Sorkin fan. I always found him obnoxious with all the walking and talking. And just, he does not write characters who resemble him. He doesn't write characters who resemble different people. All of his characters are cardboard cut-ups of himself. I would love it if, The Newsroom or Sports Night had a janitor who just had an IQ of 50, who was just being while hearing everyone sound exactly alike, like they were all communicating with the same mind. I'm babbling here, so that's kind of tired. But Then came Molly's Game, where I think he really started to find his groove. I think that was a really interesting film. And then this film, people sound very different. He wrote a part for, two very anti-establishment hippies, a snooty judge, very 1950s cookie cutter G-men, a concerned suburban father, an Ivy League activist. There's so many different voices and flavors within a very large cast in this screenplay. The film has the right blend of commentary while the action is happening and dialogue that pushes the action forward. And, when these kinds of things are converging, you can really sink your teeth into the dialogue and just find it delicious. And it's just a great film, and it has, the perfect ending. I love the ending, and he moved around history in the right way to make that ending. My number one film is Palm Springs. It's just a beautiful, thematic film that made me just, it's the emotional effect that it had on me that pushes it above such technical masterpieces like Soul or News of the World or, Trial of the Chicago 7, I would say. I just thoroughly, laughed when I felt I was meant to laugh. I thoroughly was gushing and awing and everything. And it just spoke to where I was this year with the pandemic. So for these reasons, I picked Palm Springs. Some of the other ones I really liked this year. Well, the Borat I thought had that had the story logistics it had to work out. In order to make a worthy sequel, it had to reinvent the wheel a bit, and I admire the way it did that. The Dig is, I'm just going to cover it in the next one.